I do have to put on the spot. I told you that Weber was for West Cameroon, and you were arguing that he's going to be the leader of the struggle of the exit from La Republique. Where are you today? You know what's happened to Weber.
Yeah, you said he was my man. He's still my man. He's still talking West Cameroon, but he came back, and to me, in every cloud, he's coming back to me as a cloud, and I'm looking for a silver lining in that cloud. Yeah, that sounds that doesn't sound good for you. No, it's let me land. So Wilbur came, and there are 2 things or 3 things that I saw in his coming. One, the very first one is that his coming reignited the spirit in the people. If that spirit was dampening a little bit, it reignited that torch in the people, that spirit to fight. Secondly, he went into the parliament, and the Jibril guy would not let him speak. And you could hear him asking him, if you don't let me speak, then we don't belong to this country, or you are telling us that we don't belong to this parliament.
Let me tell you what I think, okay? Yeah. I'm sorry for cutting you off. Let me tell you what I think about Weber. When I watch him in that parliament, I felt sorry for him. It's like he came back as a defeated guy. You know what I'm saying? Because this guy, you either be gone and we hear you moving on with he should be progressing, because obviously the system rejected him. So that's one. So him coming back, I found it as a minus. It wasn't a positive for me. The second thing that I was disappointed about is that he came back, and you would think that all the SDF MPs will back him up. You know what I'm saying? But it seems like he was there again by himself fighting the whole thing, and everybody was. It's almost like what we talk about the university, Julius. That everybody is kind of like protecting their pay or something. That when I watch that, that's what I come up with.
I might look at it from you could be right, but I might look at it from a different dimension.
Yes, please tell me. Make me feel better about it.
Chino Achebe once wrote that an earthworm, you may look at an earthworm and think that it's dancing, but it actually knows its destination. So I don't think that he's coming back. I will see it as a defeated action. I will look at it more as a very courageous person, because it revealed, if I followed that discourse very well, the exchange between him and Cavalier Yege Jibril. I think Cavalier said something after Weber asked, where do you want us to present these problems if we can't present them here? If I listened carefully, Jibril said, Aleo Maki. Aleo Maki. And people should take good care of that expression.
But you know why he said that, though? You know why he said that? Because Weber was being chased in the woods.
Was being chased.
Yes.
But Aleo Maki, knowing what the expression had been in East Cameroon in the 1950s, Aleo Maki is basically telling something else. He's not a protected guy. He should be an animal that will be hunted. So that is what I get. It didn't say Ifo Rantreo Maki, it said Aleo Maki.
Yes,
so
that makes a difference.
It makes a difference.
Yes.
So he's not talking about his past, but he's talking about, okay, there is no room for you to present here, go out. But I want you to understand that I see Weber more, there is an implicit implication to his action, and there is an explicit implication. The objective dimension is that he manifested what we saw. The subjective dimension is he knows best what he brought back. But I see him as coming back to redefine himself. He bearded the lion in its den, and he's come back again to continue bearding the lion. Maybe the lion, maybe he will cut his claws. I feel sorry, not sorry in the sense of having pity for him, but the MPs, the Southern Cameroon members of parliament who sat in that place and this guy spoke and none of them stood up for him. What a moment of shame and horror, of course, for me.
Yes, and that's I was gonna ask you, Roger, that there's something to say about what Julius just said. The fact that I know SDF MPs mostly because that's really who the people of Southern Cameroons would be looking to for action. You know what I'm saying? Because and I'm going to come back to CPDM MPs that are from Ambazonia. What do you think about the MPs who just sat there and somebody told me that they were afraid of that they don't want to do some of what he's saying because the chairman himself doesn't want that to happen?
Well, I think what Julius explained, let's finish with Weber first. It underscores what I was saying.
You have to go back to Weber.
Yes, it underscores what I was saying because he coming back and Caballero Jibril telling him that is a message to those who still sit around and talk about federation, right? And talk about and have this illusion that we can somehow accommodate La République and work somehow in some kind of a fashion with La République. So those statements from the Speaker of the House of Assembly to the people's representative that he should go and pick up arms in order to be able to speak says a lot to those people who still. I understand there is a conference coming up in Atlanta next month that is specifically focused on the people who are for federation. So they should listen to that statement and look at the way Weber was treated for having come back and tell me and tell the people that they are representing or they want to convince back home how that federation is going to work.
Well, it will not work because, in 1961, the people of Southern Cameroon had two options. And I'm not talking about the two options of joining Nigeria or La République. There are two options. The Southern Cameroon Prime Minister, if he was an indigenous patriot, he had an option to either go the route of La République, fraudulent as it was, which was a federation, or he would have said no to this and said my people are going to go for independence. That's what was voted for, and what is turning out here is not independence. They chose to go the quote-unquote federation route, and that's where it's brought us now.
Yes.
So people who are saying let's go back to federation, I mean, it's the route of federation that has led us where we are.
Yeah, and that is the thing that we have to let our people back home understand. That when somebody even comes and stands at your door and begins to talk to you about federation, it is only a ploy. They are only deceiving you now so that maybe they can get you where they want you and then put us worse than where we are right now. I don't even think that if we ever talk about federation, that we are going to have anything, it will be worse than what we have now.
Absolutely. Julius, please.
I mean, when you talk about this federation, you say that is where we are now. People don't see. When you talk about federation, it's federation that has made people to be shot and killed. That has made a founder of a party from Southern Cameroon to be called un petit libraire. It is federation that has made a woman beaten and her buttocks torn to pieces. It is federation that has led to the taking out students in the university dormitory, girls, mature women, and rob them in sewage. That is the federation right there manifesting itself. So when we are telling people that where we are, I hope they don't just see us in just an unseen union or a non-physical union. It's the actions that we are seeing. the devolution of our credible academic system. It's been diluted and divulged to nothing. So it's federation that is, these are all the manifestations, the corruption. That is federation that has brought all these things. It's federation that has deprived so many intelligent people to not exploit their chances within the country, and they are forced out. So you look at the federation, everything about it is evil. It's federation that killed all Southern Cameroon businessmen that could be the backbone of our day-to-day running economy. And in situations like this, they will stand and speak and somebody will listen. So what kind of federation, what can't they see?
Thank you. I was going to add that it's federation that abolished our government. It's federation that closed Yoke Power Camp. It's federation that closed PMO. It's federation that closed
the marketing board.
And all the assets stolen. It's asset that closed the Ombe Higher Technical Institute and all the equipment transferred to La Republique. It's federation that closed PWD and all the earth moving equipment moved to La Republique. Okay, should we continue?
What I want to tell Riba is that when he stands in that parliament and talks about West Cameroon, I want him to explain to the people of the Southern Cameroon where is East Cameroon, because if there is West, there is East. So we have La République du Cameroun today, which was supposed to have been buried when we came into this union. So you cannot stand in parliament and begin to talk about West Cameroon when you don't have an East. You have a country that gained independence in 1960, the 1st of January 1960. So you cannot stand in parliament if you are talking about the people of West Cameroon. There is no West Cameroon anymore, Mr. Riba. There is this people of the Southern Cameroons. So if I want you to think about it, if you want to talk about West Cameroon, the people of West Cameroon, you need to tell me where is East Cameroon.
May I add something?
Please do, and I have a question for you.
This is the parliamentarians that are sitting in Yaoundé in the glass house, including a courageous guy like Wiba has demonstrated that he's a warrior. You never take credit away from a guy who manifests fortitude, and he manifests this kind of courage that he did. This is what I see when Wiba keeps talking about West Cameroon. The parliamentarians that are representing Southern Cameroon in that place are basically mercenaries. The only difference is that they are not wearing a uniform. The only difference is that they are not carrying guns. But they are basically mercenaries there who are there only held by money and not by a valued principle that pushes any country forward. When you do that, you are a mercenary. You are being hired for a purpose, and their purpose is just to deprive our people, continue to hold us back.
And they play another role. And that role, and La République understands that better than Southern Cameroonians do. You know, Article 76B said that you give independence to the people or self-government. Okay, since we're not given independence, La République is trying to simulate self-government by keeping our people there, by paying them, like you're saying, to represent us when they're actually presenting some other power that I want to bring. Now, when they talk of federation, you federate with independent people. La République does not own itself; it's owned by France. I think the Accord de Coopération does make it very clear that that's a French bastion, and in fact, the power structure there is all controlled by the French. So you can even say the police and the gendarme and the military, they're all agents of France, maintaining French interests. So how do you federate with people who don't own themselves? Or are they saying we should federate with France? Can we federate with France? Because that's really the question now. Julius, take that.
Well, I think I think that we've always said in this struggle that if Southern Cameroon is free, we could free our neighbors to the east in La République.
I don't want you saying that because I think you would stiffen the resolve of La République. The resolve of France from letting us go, because that's really who we are fighting in this struggle.
Well, that's who we are fighting, and you know, you have to speak truth to power.
No, but I think they should look. I don't want us to go and fight the fight of. It is said that when there's fire in the neighborhood, you put your own fire out first. Okay, so let's not even be thinking about, because you don't want to confuse the fire department now.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's put our own fire out first, because if the people of La Republic were even seen with us and supporting us, and not being the faces that we see on our ground, terrorizing and doing some of the evil things you just talked about, then I would say, you know what, we have some sympathetic people there that we can partner. We don't have any partners.
We don't indeed. And one thing I want to emphasize is these people that these people from La République du Cameroun that have carried out persistently these kinds of demonic actions on people that they call their brothers and their sisters. They should stand and tell us at what point did they get so angry against this so-called brother or sister Anglophone to beat kids and tear their buttocks, rob girls in sewage, lift a gun and shoot somebody to kill. There is a point where you become so angry. If we are that way, they should tell us the anger, what brought them to that point of anger, without which I don't think they are people that we should work with.
Rogers.
Yes, I think we might have an answer to that. And to me, that answer is the fact that we have the audacity to challenge what they believed had already been
Accomplished.
Yes. So we still have this dream in us. So that is what is killing them.
Let me say this though, I really don't think so. Because I think what they're doing is they're training. Because even in 1961, and I've read about this, when they first came in, I think they are trained to dehumanize the citizenry. And that's why when the stories go that when they first came in 1961, if they would do kale, and the people who have a high esteem of themselves, they make them sit in the mud. You understand?
That happened to me when I was a student delegate in the university.
Right. So taking those kids and rubbing their face on the ground in 2017 was what they were doing in 1961. We were hearing it, but you never really saw the pictures. I think you and I remember these kids, these girls, and all the boys who were already soaked in that sewage and they were lying there. But it comes from their training. Yes, I think they are trained, and the only people who can train their troops or their police to treat the citizenry like that is a foreign force, and that foreign force has actually no value for the people in that land.
The indigens.
It doesn't have any respect for the indigens.
Yeah,
so Roger, that's what I'm saying. That's why I asked the question. There was an answer embedded. I don't want us to answer that question. I want them to give an answer to that question themselves. If they want to sit and talk with anybody from Southern Cameroon, they need to explain to us at what point, what made them so angry that they will carry out these kinds of acts, yet they're calling us brothers and sisters. I don't think that the parliamentarians from Southern Cameroon should be in that house in Yaoundé. They are very educated parliamentarians in that place. Some are engineers. Some are former government workers. These are very well-read and well-educated people. They know better. They don't belong in that place.
I think the people who have to answer that question you have asked are our own Southern Cameroonians who are preaching this federation doctrine. They have to answer that question.
Indeed.
Yes, they should be the ones to answer what did these children, these students in Boya, or the ones in Bamenda, what did they do that this government that they are asking us to stay with had to treat them that way? Because if you have to go to my parents or go to the family that has lost a son or a daughter, or whose son or daughter was subjected to that, and explain to them that you want them to stay. So if we were campaigning, for example, right, if I had to go to Babangi Tungo today and tell my people that I want us to separate from these guys because we have had enough. And one of those, my friends, for example, who disagrees with me and believes that we should stay in union, will have to explain to the people of Babangi why those children had to be treated that way. So our own Southern Cambodians who are advocating for this federation should be the people to answer those questions. We don't care about what happens in our Republic today. We are moving on.
Yes.
But our own brothers who still believe that there is something in this Republic that we have not seen yet, there is some juice, some honey or something that we are missing because we want to leave, have to explain to us what we did to be treated that way.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you though, you know that there's no system that's created without people benefiting from the system, no matter how evil it is. So these may be people who have vested interest in the system as is. But I want to ask you about this, and Roger, I want you to take it first, because I think it's unfair to talk about WIBA and then the SDF without talking about CPDM, because we also have a lot of CPDM parliamentarians from Amazonia that are also serving there. What do you say? What do you tell them?
Well, the only thing I can tell them is that you have to answer at some point, because you are what they can call you an accessor to murder, right? You might not have committed a crime yourself, but you're an accessor because you facilitated that crime to be committed against the people. Somebody like a Tanganji who come to Bamenda and say he has to organize this march, this solidarity march, or whatever they call it, in the name of the CPDM, right? To show the world how unified and harmonious the people of Bamenda are with the CPDM and stuff like that. You must be crazy. I don't know what planet they come from. So the people, there is probably some kind of, this is how I look at the CPDM people. I don't know what they drink, but it is intoxicating because it actually just burns their minds and they cannot think anymore.
Okay.
Because if you look at people who are in that condition and you want to come and there is so much tension in the air and create some kind of a harmonious atmosphere, there is something wrong with you without actually taking care of the problem or addressing the problem that the people are complaining about. There is something wrong with you. So I don't even want us to go into SDF, CPDM and stuff like that, because we're not talking about politics. That is not what we're talking about.
Yes, but I wanted to do
the people.
Yes, I wanted to do that because, and I'm going to allow Julius to say his own piece, but I have to say mine. Having stated or listed all the different things that they've done to us in so-called federation, right?
Yes.
Being a CPDM parliamentarian, and I've always thought about this, seems to me like Jews joining the Nazi party. You understand what I'm saying? Because these are people coming for your guts and the soul. They're coming for your children. They're coming for your economy. They're coming for everything that your own land and your own tradition and your own education and the voice of your own education stood for. But yet, you're still joining them. It seems to me like to be a CPDM parliamentarian is like a Jew being a member of the Nazi party. That's the way I see it. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I don't disagree with that. At one time or the other, these people should understand. All Cameroonians were CNU. At one time or the other, all Cameroonians were CPDM. Until multipartism in 1990.
No, when all Ambazonians were CNU, there was no option.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I say until 1990 when SDF became.
That's not a complete true statement, though. Because the fact that they organized whatever kind of elections they had and they said the results were 99%, that was not true, because you had people who just refused
to be part of the system.
They were belonging by force. That's what I'm saying.
They did not, in their mind, they did not belong.
No, that's what I'm saying now. But events, the calculation now should be very different after the events. Believe me, if what we saw since these recent upheavals started haven't changed these people's minds, something is seriously wrong, because they must have something to benefit. I want to just give you a small example. if somebody is putting on a CPDM uniform with Paul Biya's image and walking proudly in the southern Cameroon or Ambazonia, and a parliamentarian cannot wear a traditional regalia from southern Cameroon, something that Paul Biya himself had put on his body, and it's internationally recognized and respected for its artistry and everything and its creativity, and a man sits in a gandura which is no official, and he tells you that you can't speak in that place. Whoever is still supporting that kind of system in place, there is something seriously wrong. There are just very small things that just tell you a lot and say, please, you are not wanted here.
Absolutely. And you're talking about the Bafu parliamentarian who was not allowed, who was told not to speak because he was wearing the Bamenda toggle.
Yes.
Julius, I'm going to, not Julius, Roger, I'm going to give you some breathing room with Wiba.
Okay.
No, I keep going back to him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it's more concern because that man is courageous, and this my theory. He left, went to the territory, tried to find allies with whom he could fight the system. He didn't find any, so he went back.
Well, I think, like I told you.
So it's more like if you can beat them, join them.
No, that's not true. I don't think Wiba is going to join them. We need people.
No, but do you agree that he went and like we're going to fight this, but then he did it? Because I think part of the analysis of the struggle right now is that it's still a little confused, and there's no really set goals and strategy of where we're going right now.
No, I don't think so. And even if you listen to his interview this evening on Equinox TV, he said he came back to fight from the ground. And I think this struggle needs somebody like Wiba on the ground to keep, because we are going to win this struggle not from any other place but from the ground. And you need somebody like you. There is nothing they can do to Wiba.
No, but the ground is not like the ground is not like the Republic's parliament.
No,
you know the people in that parliament.
Yes, it is not like Republic's parliament.
First of all, in the francophone system, right? They have presidential monarchies, even in France.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The parliament is just there. It's just there.
Yes. No, it is.
So it's not even a fighting place.
If I may add, I think what Roger is saying when he says on the ground is there has to be a visible leader image seen in the territory on the ground that the people can look up to. If the leader of a people is not in front of them and demonstrating what Wiba has demonstrated, it looks like Wiba was a coward, but coming back, believe me, I tell you, that's not just courage, but fortitude.
Well,
and I think I have a different take. Wiba likely moved out, saw the landscape, the political landscape, or the landscape,
saw some realities.
Saw some realities, and likely realized that the territory needed a unifying figure, even if it is pro-tempore. It should be, because our main objective is to take the people out of La République and bring them back to Buea. And then anything can happen there. But I don't see Wiba as somebody who likely got compromised or will compromise his values from the kind of things that he articulated and the risk that he took. It's I mean, you compromise yourself like that to come back and live where? Among your people? I mean, the Bansal people. You see, it looks like we are speaking in isolation. We have to look at Wiba's background. That man is from Bansal. You don't come back and you settle among your Bansal people doing that.
No, look, I'm not doubting this man's courage.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's scored a lot of points for us, but I just think that him returning and asking questions to the Speaker of the House, that where do you want us to go? It doesn't look like. I just have a problem with that whole scenario.
See, this is what I told you right before, and I'm going to repeat it again. Yeah, the last time we sat, you asked me. You said he was for Federation, so he was for West Cameroon.
Mm-hmm.
So he hasn't changed that position yet.
Yeah.
But his strategy is building up our case that we are not part of that structure. The way he was treated, the way he was.
Let me say, I'm laughing.
No, tell me.
Because it is said that. Let me think about it. I know the saying is escaping me a little bit. It is said that you have to think globally to act right locally.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, in which French colony the people have negotiated their exit out of French colony? Tell me one.
Nobody is negotiating. I don't think what Wilbur is doing is negotiating our exit with the French. He is playing his own role where in the situation where he finds himself. And if each and every one of us, by playing that role that he is playing, he is giving the rest of the people in the territory the ammunition to fight with, the fortress, encouragement, the mindset to be able to stand up and fight. That is the role that he is playing. Each and every one, the bike guys who went down to Baba when that gendarme at that control took the driver's documents and refused to give them back, and he went back to Jakiri and came down with reinforcement and got the documents and got those gendarmes away and all those controls from the road. Those are the people fighting at the level where they are. So Riba is fighting. It is not what I agree with. I have told you where I disagree with him in all this West Cameroon stuff, but I believe in what he is doing. And if each and every one of us play our own role, we will be where we want to be.
Thank you. You have anything to add? Because I have something else.
I was just to add that you talked about country living the other in the French.
No, I talked about give me one example where.
Yes, but look, Southern Cameroon is very different. Our situation is very, very different. They are not. La République are not the people to give us.
I'm not denying of our uniqueness. I think our presence in the French colonial empire, having been a free people, because we came one step from our total independence.
Yes.
And then they put us into that place, and they were hoping that by now all the people who remember that part would have died out, but obviously they forget that our humanity is very, very.
Well, this is what will.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
This is what will is happening.
Mm-hmm.
The bone in the body has broken,
mm-hmm.
and it's not being fixed. It can't be repaired. It's leaning, and it will continue to hurt the flesh. It is not that body that will tell the bone, fix yourself, until the bone drags and stretches itself, or a surgeon does that.
Okay. And
we Southern Cameroonians are that bone, and it's fractured in that union. There is no way we are the people to drag it out, and it's not La République to be giving us any independence.
Thank you, and I'm going to close this with a topic with this. Okay.
Okay.
I always believe, right, that if we're going to fight on who owns the ball, right, we shouldn't be arguing around that ball. Let our argument be about the ball, so that any resolution that comes out there will be about the ball, whether you own it or I own it, is resolved. But if we're arguing around, then we're not even making a decision about that, because we can make a decision and you still will not get that ball, because whoever is preventing you from arguing that ball is still keeping the ball. What I'm trying to say here is that if Wiba, right, went back to Parliament, or if his conversation with the with the Speaker of the House, if he was asking the Speaker of the House, show me an act of union, like the lawyers asked, right? I will know that we are speaking about the key things. This man still talk about West Cameroon, which means that he's saying, oh, we had a West Cameroon, let's go back to it and all that crap, because that West Cameroon never even existed. Because the first day these people came into our territory, they were coming in to destroy us.
Yes.
And the way they destroyed us is that they first of all destroyed our means of fighting back, meaning that they have to take away our economy, so that we have no money to do anything. We have to depend on them. Foncha actually says it, that immediately after Fumban, the French company, they stopped any other body from buying bananas because our economy was heavily subsidized through the SCBC. They prevented them from buying our bananas, so our bananas rotted in southern Cameroon. So they made sure that all southern Cameroon's budgets came from Yaoundé, and that's how they used to control. And then through that control, they destroyed everything. Okay, and then those that they did not take, like the police, they paid them in East Cameroon higher, so that those in southern Cameroon will want to join them to get higher pay. So the intention from day one, in fact, even when we were still so-called West Cameroon, the person who was really running West Cameroon was Ngo, the federal inspector, because immediately after Fumban, all the district officers, the DOs, were reporting straight to Ngo, who reported to Ahijo. And so even from 1961, even before 72, Ahijo was running the place.
Yeah. So this is
let me just finish this. The only thing that Foncha had control over was the police. And because Foncha was not a native of our land, he did not fight that. Instead, what his argument with Ahijo was, instead of saying, why are you taking the government of the Southern Cameroon when we're a federation, he instead complained to Ahijo that, I'm not seeing the security reports. Guess what Ahijo did? Oh, if that's all you want, send me the security reports. I'm still in control of you, and just send him copies. And that was it. And that's how we lost our territory even before we lost it. And that's because we did not have our own people running our own country.
Yes.
And so right now, I think the people of Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia should learn a lesson from that.
No.
That if we are not being represented in an argument by what we call blue blood Southern Cameroonians or Ambazonians, you're having Trojan horses in the house.
Yeah. No, that argument is it's fair, it's straight. That is not what we are debating today. By our
no, let me just say this. What I'm trying to say is that if Weber in that parliament is saying, show me the act of union, otherwise we don't belong here and you do not belong over there.
No, so this is what I'm saying.
But he's arguing around the ball.
That is your position, that is my position.
Yes.
Right? But the way we were brought up in our culture, Weber has the right to his position. And what I have to do is to ask him, show me how your position is tenable.
And yes, fine.
Right?
Yeah.
So
totally.
that is the thing.
Totally.
He has to prove to me how the argument that he's making about West Cameroon is tenable.
Yes.
He has to show me the East Cameroon that he's talking about. That is why I make those arguments.
Yes.
So I respect him for what he's doing. I respect the position that he's taking. I respect the position of the people who will be coming to Atlanta next month to talk about federation. But I want them to show me how it is tenable.
Yes. So we're saying that he should take his courage and be fighting the real fight.
Yes, because he cannot prove to me that federation that he's talking about, the West Cameroon that he's talking about, is a tenable situation. It's not going to hold.
Thank you. I'll tell you who is fighting and not giving an inch. Is the clergy in our territory, because La Republique has gone after them, and they have stayed steady, and their congregations are with them. Julius.
Yes, I'm glad they stood up. Despite the fact that they've lost some priests, not just now, to this regime. We remember our former principal, Father Fonte, who was killed by this regime and other ones, and Reverend Sisters. So the Catholic Church is not immune to this. They've paid a price. But what this system, the system in Yaoundé, BIA's system is basically doing is, as you said earlier, they've humiliated the body. Now, they are tampering with the people's spirit. Tampering with the people's spirit in what you are seeing, where people are taken to jail like Mancho BBC, and they are not being asked any questions, they are not told their crimes. That is breaking somebody down in their spirit. Then, the core of a people, their religion, their place of worship, is the public square for those people. During the Roman times, when the Romans entered Palestine, the Roman soldiers were told, don't set your foot in the temple, in the Jewish temple. You don't. When the United States went to Iraq to overthrow Saddam Hussein, the soldiers were told, don't tamper with the people's place of worship. In history, I'm not trying to link it only to religious. In religious history, biblical history, you've seen that those places of worship, soldiers don't play with it. So what the BIA regime is doing is trying to break our centeredness as a person, of the whole person. Take away the body, take away the mind, and take away the spirit. Because that is the last hole for the person. And thank God, our clergy from all denominations have stood up, they are steadfast, they are persistent, and they are not giving an inch. I think that might become the Waterloo for the Yaoundé regime, touching the religious institutions. Like the FENASCO games, where they went and opened the gates of the cathedral by force for games to take place there,
yes.
Dragging bishops and religious men to court, and the moderators from the Presbyterian Church. You know what? We are all one. It's one God. We, the Christians in Cameroon, in southern Cameroon, in Ambazonia, all of us, we are all one. And we believe in one God, and we will not let that happen.
How far do you think they will go with that?
They're not going anywhere. They are not. I mean, that is the last kicks of a dying horse, right? As I say, that is, they don't have anywhere to go. The people that I pick.
No. How far do you think they will go fighting the church? That's my question.
No, they are not going anywhere.
Okay. I have a history that is different from.
Well, I don't think they are going anywhere. That is a strategy that they want to use, with the hope that they will go through that strategy to break the people, right? Because it is like you are sitting home as a parent. The church, it is like it's like our jewel, right? What people treasure. So when you come in and you can't find a parent, then you go, to take something that is very important or significant to the people. They are not going anywhere with it. If they were going to be successful, that guy from Douala, whatever is bishop or the head of the Episcopal conference, who went and did all that, he would not be doing that. If they knew that they were going anywhere with that, he would not be going on a listening tour like he did not know what was happening.
Okay.
So to me, the fact that he left as a head of the Episcopal conference in Cameroon and went on this listening tour like he did not know, tells me that they themselves know that that strategy is not going to head anywhere. Why did the lawyer not show up in court? The bishops and everybody was in court, right? The plaintiff was not in court.
No, look, the whole thing about La République taking people to court is delaying tactics. What they do, here's my theory, okay? I think they captured Bala and all these other people and put them in jail to take them away, because part of their strategy is to make sure that we have no leadership. Because when we have no leadership, then they can go into our territory and ransack and pick people. Nobody will organize us, okay? Mm-hmm. But here's what I want you to understand. Here's what I want both of you to think about when you think about the French and religious institutions. In Rwanda, people were murdered in churches and bodies piled. Mm-hmm. So when I ask you how far do you think you will go with that, and you're saying they're not going anywhere, please let history inform you. In Rwanda, there was the genocide was complete, and like I was listening to Ben Kwa say, in Rwanda they had nothing to fight for except prestige. Mm-hmm. In our territory, mm-hmm. they have incredible resources to fight for. Mm-hmm. So I want us not to take this as child's play, because these people, they've shown that they are capable of going to the depths of anything that they try.
No, we are not taking it as child's play. We are trying to look at the implication, and that is why the people that we are communicating with, especially in the territory.
And don't forget that they got away with in Rwanda.
Mm-hmm. No, but this is what we are saying, though. The question is, where are they going with taking the clergy to court? Right?
No, what I'm trying to say is that they are attacking the clergy, and they just started. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. They just started.
Yes. So
don't say they have nowhere to go because they just started. The history.
They are trying to break the spiritual will of the people, but you know, we are communicating and reaching out to the people in Amberland, in the territory, and they should understand. I like your question because they should understand where this could lead to, or where this could go, and they have to be ready. They have to be alert, and they have to put themselves in numbers.
No, but I think that you're perfectly right. The people are ready because they showed you when they came up. And they came out on that day when the bishops were going to court, whether it was in Boya or in Bamenda, the people were in the streets.
Yeah, they were
singing, they were ready. So and that is what I'm saying. If that is their intention, the people are ready. Our people are ready to take the fight to La Republique. The problem is that we don't want La Republique in our territory. We want La Republique out. If La Republique wants to bring them a fight, the people are ready for that fight. And they showed up to protect that clergy that day that they were going to court. In every single city, they were out in their numbers. What did they had to go and block people from coming from Jakiri to Bamenda, right? Mm-hmm. They blocked the roads because they knew that if everybody was going to come down to Bamenda town on that day for that court hearing. So the people are ready for it, the people are determined, and there is nothing that is going to stop them.
One thing that I want to add to that, I talked about people in Ambazonia have to be in a high sense of alert, which means you have to be aware of who is in the territory. A settler could be trouble, because that's what happened in Rwanda, and you need to know who is by you. There are real Southern Cameroonians in there, and there are people that are there for a purpose, to serve La Republique's purpose. And when we talk about self-defense, it doesn't just mean holding an arm or anything. No, it's having a heightened sense of awareness, being very prepared, and opening their ears to listen to things and look at things that are out of the ordinary or suspicious, and then they make sure that they step in. It's not just physical response, but just the sense of awareness. I hope it doesn't get to that point, but I'm very confident that our people are certainly prepared for anything.
Now that brings me to another topic that I've heard discussed, and it is the one about marriages between the people of La Republique and the people of Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. Some people see that, because some people are asking, what do you do with those? What would you tell them?
Well, if you marry that person because you love that person, right? That person is not La Republique. We all have friends, we have families that have intermarried. So there are people who live in this country who are married to United States citizens. People marry, love crosses borders, but it has nothing to do with the struggle, right? We are talking about a union between the Southern Cameroons and La Republique. We are not talking about the families of La Republique and the families of the Southern Cameroons. We are talking about a union that is supposed to have existed between La Republique and the Southern Cameroons on equal status.
Yes.
That is what we are talking about.
Yes.
We are not talking about the relationships and the friendships that have developed within this time that we have been, for these 56 years that we have been together. That has nothing to do with that. The people who are married or who have friends, they don't have anything to worry about.
And they don't even have to worry about their marriages and their friendships.
No, not at all.
Because the people of Southern Cameroon are married to Nigerians, they're married to Kenyans. I want to keep it in the neighborhood. Don't even come to the United States.
Yes.
Keep it in the neighborhood.
Yes.
And because you're married to a Nigerian hasn't made Nigeria now have claims over Ambazonian?
No, not at all.
Julius?
A very good point. And if I may add, anybody who uses marriage as a raison d'etre in the current situation and using it as a justification, it means that marriage was not marriage out of love. It was marriage with a hidden purpose.
The political marriage?
Yes, with a hidden agenda.
Yes.
And likely, then they should tell us that hidden agenda, if it was to infiltrate southern Cameroon or to, in whatever way. So anybody that brings up that discussion, there is a problem with them.
Yes, they're not being genuine.
They're
not a genuine argument.
genuine at all.
Yeah,
at
and-
all.
and-
It's just too weak.
Yeah, I think there are people, I don't want to say that they don't understand some of the things that we're talking about, because I hope everybody understands. But they probably bring up those things. Maybe some of them, I look at them as agents of the Republic.
Yes.
Because you want to create that air of suspicion, make people uncomfortable, so that you can advance whatever agenda that you have. Because the fact that I am married to a woman from Yaoundé, from a Wondo woman, doesn't mean that I have to all of a sudden abandon my culture.
Or abandon your own country.
Or abandon my own country.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yes. So we are going to raise our children, and we are going to raise our children to love everybody.
And you're going to grow old together
Yes.
as husband and wife.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, the nationality is not an issue.
It's not an issue. So
The marriage was out of love.
Yes.
The marriage, you didn't go to marry somebody by saying, "Oh, you are a person from East Cameroon, or a person from Yaoundé, so I have to marry you." Oh,
And then marrying you
Yeah.
means our countries are together.
yeah,
No.
together. No. It's just
I'm going to even extend that and say that even genuine business relationships between Southern Cameroons and people of La Republique still remains valid.
Yes.
I think it's the stolen properties that will need to be returned.
yes.
it should.
Yes.
It should.
The
It's
sto-
the same. It's yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Any
anybody-
land that is given to people, any land that has been usurped through surreptitious means,
Yes.
where colonial people have been appointed to give those lands or sell those lands only to a particular
Like the
pattern-
lands in
pattern.
Upstation, Bananda,
Yeah, so-
and Bendankwe.
Yes,
those
those
are
things
all
like
stolen
that. Yeah,
properties.
those things like that have to be taken care of.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Now we can leave this conversation without talking about the GCE, because this is something that has affected a lot of families on the ground, but the government is playing games with that. You think the government is playing games with it?
Oh, absolutely. They are playing games. It is the politics that we started the show talking about, because we know what the value of the GCE is. It is an end of course exam, an end of 5 year or 7 years that you have been in school. You sit down to take this exam. And it is accepted in universities everywhere.
It's a validation exam.
It's a validation exam.
Yes.
I mean, when we were talking about the Yaoundé University, and I was thinking to myself, well, the only sound education that exists in Cameroon, to the best of my knowledge, is when you go from primary school to A levels, because it is not adulterated.
Yes, it's very clean, and that's what we've taken abroad,
Yes.
and has done really well.
Yes, it is not adulterated. The
It's a very competitive system.
Yes, the La Republique people have not infiltrated, and so for parents to be pushing their children for whatever reason to go for and sit for an exam that they know, based on how we were raised. Our parents, you never heard parents going to the ministry to go and buy an exam to come and give their children, as the people used to do in La Republique, but they are still doing it now. Because when we in Yaoundé here, they say local au ministère, it means the exam has been leaked, and parents were very happy to go and buy those exams to come and give their children. That is not how we were raised.
No.
We valued education, and our parents made sure people were even held back to repeat a class.
Yes.
Because they did not do well.
That they did not do well.
So where
Yeah.
have those values gone? That a parent would get up today and send a child to go and sit for an exam, knowing very well that that child did not prepare for that exam. That is the impact of our union with these people.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, I just feel like crying. You know why?
Why?
Because I love the GCE.
Yes.
the O level, the A level, just the preparation for these exams.
It was vigorous.
They tell you.
And we remember the stories.
Yes, they tell you the exam that it is.
The mock GCE.
We used to, the mock GCE, we used to go with kerosene lamps, hide ourselves in school,
yes,
and
put our feet in cold
water,
yes,
study just to go through,
drink a lot of coffee,
GCE, just to stay awake and
yes,
perform the GCE.
Yes,
just the name.
Yes,
you can think about the excitement in southern Cameroons, and for the southern Cameroonians who are in La République, when they were reading the GCE, the excitement, the sense of accomplishment and everything, there is a lot going on with this than just, it's not an incident, it's a process.
Yes.
It's not a one event, it's a process.
Yes.
The adulteration of this exam for me is problematic for students to even take it without ample preparation. Let me tell you something. Parents should understand that there were some students who failed the GCE, and they still did well in life.
Because the
process, yes, the process of it.
And Julia, let me just cut you a bit. The process of educating someone is not to pass an exam.
No,
it's to have some skills that take you through life.
Yes.
And so what they're doing is destroying that whole process. And they will do that. The countries that would do that are countries that are owned by some other people, and if you can weaken the people in that territory, then the paymaster, because France is the paymaster, and so they've never really valued people in La République, and that's why the corruption has remained and everything has remained, and it works for the exploiter. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Because if people get to know too much, then they can organize themselves and fight back.
So
I just need to finish one more piece on this one because you got me going.
Okay.
Because I think La République came and destroyed our economy. They destroyed. They even drew a curriculum for us. It's only now that I'm beginning to understand that they had control of what we learn in school and don't learn. But then our systems were so created that you can then use that basic Southern Cameroon training and gain any knowledge you want in the world. Which is how we go around surviving in every other system, because we were very well prepared not only to read your material but on how to learn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think they destroyed our economy, they kept us out of jobs, but somehow we remain resilient people. And they have been questioning. I remember Dr. Ngumne telling me that there were some experts, not people from La République, but French people, asking that they have sent a lot of people into southern Cameroons, including people from La République who look like us, but somehow they haven't succeeded in destroying our system. Ngumne told them that the reason why you haven't succeeded is because when those people come, we change them instead of them changing us.
Yes.
So La République has found out that the only way to either extinguish us from our land or finish with us so that we don't become a process, because in the whole land we are only the humans there have the capability of resisting them. So they've decided that they will destroy our education, and that's why they're now going down even to primary school and sending their own teachers. You understand?
Yeah.
So there's a whole master plan here going on.
Yeah, there is, and I want to add something to what I just said. I want you to look at when you enter La République. And you look at the different ministries, the southern Cameroonians who passed through the GCE system, they do a very good job. They work better than the Francophones. You go, they will tell you if you are va voir l'Anglola. Anglo is a connotation, but they know what they are doing. That is what process does to people in education. They know what they are doing. When problems arise, it's mostly...
You don't think they ask you to go voir l'Anglola because
as a scapegoat?
No.
I think it's more
are
because...
Are you talking to them in French or in English? Are you making your request in French or English? Because you need to clarify that.
No, when no, just working in an office. The Anglophones that work, you see that they demonstrate ability to carry out whether it's under a corrupt system. That's
my
what
question
I'm
is.
So those directives are given by somebody in that office to somebody who needs help to go see that.
Yeah, okay. There are two reasons why somebody can say, go see that Anglo, right? Are they saying it because you're talking to them in English and they're not understanding you, or it's because they think that I would rather have him do it?
No, that's the person who knows
what to do. Even Francophones, even when we were in the university as a student delegate, when the students were going in the students' office, they would come. I was the vice coordinator. The coordinator was a Francophone, but they will instead drift to me, and they know because I pay attention to what they do.
Look,
and when we go through all those, we could see, even in this crisis that you see, the people that have demonstrated problem-solving skills are Southern Cameroonians who are in the system, whether they are used as stooges or as scapegoats, but they've demonstrated that consistently.
And you say that this comes from their education?
Yes, it's from the education. This is the GCE. This is our process. And so when we are defending the good schools and everything, it's not just because we are doing it for to stand up against a government. No, it's because it builds a very strong value system in us, and we don't want that to be lost. So kids who have lost school, they will still catch up. They will still go through the process.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
There is a difference between the why and the how. As an educator, a lifelong educator and a coach, my emphasis is always on the how. Why do you go to school? You go to school because you want to succeed. How do you want to succeed? That is what is critical in education. So we don't hastily send kids through school and then just because they want to come out and do this and do that. No.
So La République is asking people to go write exams when they did not study.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that do to the GCE?
Well, before we talk about what it does to the GCE, I was watching that clip from Boya. I don't know whether it's the headmistress or the principal who was walking around. I don't know how somebody like that, as an educator, will feel comfortable doing anything like that. And for any person who watched it back at home, I don't know how you feel comfortable to send.
Well, what did the lady do?
Well, I think I don't know whether it was a duo or it was a governor or whoever came. They wanted to show people that the exams were being written. There were gendarmes. Then she was walking around, and the classes were almost empty. But it is humiliating. It's pitiful. I pity that if you are an educator,
yes,
you will not put yourself through that.
No, but let's okay. I keep saying this, right? It seems to me that, you see, when you have been impoverished in your life, like people in Cameroon do, because in a patronage system where it's not a meritorious system, you don't go ahead because you merit it. You go ahead because you know how many access to kids. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so people that are more in a survival mode.
No, I understand that, but what I'm telling you is that I pity those.
Yes, you should pity them.
Yes.
Because it's a very miserable life to live.
It's a miserable life to live. You have to live the truth, right? So what we are telling parents is that, yes, your children, the education that you value, the education that you got, you have to ask yourself, this exam that I'm sending my child to go and sit, is this child sitting this exam, is it the same education that I got that I'm hoping that this child gets, or I'm telling this child that has gotten? That is the question that you ask yourself before you make that decision. And I want to commend those parents who did not even fall into that nonsense of sending their children to go and write that kind of an exam, because it's a waste of time. Those certificates would not be recognized anywhere.
Yeah, you go ahead, please.
One addition.
Yes.
When we were, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I recall when we were writing the GC 1 year, there were policemen outside. Mm-hmm. If you were caught cheating, bam,
No, but I never wrote the GC with police.
No. When I mean like security.
Okay.
Because especially I
find that really strange because
in the external centers. You know
external
why?
Centers. Okay.
Yes. When you went through in the external centers, you will, because people could do a lot of things. Try to fraud.
Let me say this. Maybe you don't find this strange. Government is in everything.
Yes, it is.
I mean, when you write exams here, do you have?
Oh no.
Do you have? The school authorities are there to discipline you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go and bring police.
Yeah, in the external centers, they used to bring police to be around.
Oh,
if you are caught cheating, bam, you are gone. You will be locked up.
No, but that shouldn't be a crime. It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. But I'm just.
It shouldn't be. I'm just using.
I'm just using that to make
you out.
I'm just using that to make you understand how much value used to be attached to the GCE or how it is.
Yeah, I understand. Yes. I understand, but I'm just reading. I mean, it's stunning that you have cops. Mm-hmm. You know, in our old system, I think teachers were empowered to run those things, and they can.
In schools, though.
Yes.
In schools, these were external centers where candidates were not in a particular given school, but external centers. You know, like people who have worked and attend evening classes and the like, they can take and prepare for their exams.
Yeah, so. I'm going to ask you a tough one. It's really tough because it's tough. Mm-hmm. So September is coming. What happens
with the schools?
Yes.
Well, I think that if the ground, if Southern Cameroon is not at peace with itself, the territory has been violated, it's been adulterated, it's put under a hazardous condition. It's a hazardous environment. Educating a child needs to be a school is the safest place where a child has to be, and they have to study under calm conditions where they feel free. They play with their friends without fear. We take this for granted. That's the psychological safety that somebody will grow with over time.
And they have to have the right education.
The right education. So, if schools reopen in September and people are sending people to schools without these stable conditions, we take it for granted when we went to school, we came out at recess and played with our friends. You weren't afraid if anything, or your uncle or relative or this has been arrested and locked up somewhere, or your teacher who was teaching you last year is locked up in Kondangi or something, or they will come this time and arrest your parish priest or your principal.
Or you go and still meet the same French-speaking people coming
to the same. That is trauma. After you have experienced this, Southern Cameroon has to go through a purging process. The environment, both psychologically, mentally, has to be stable before those kids go back to the classroom. If they go back to the classroom without that, I think it's psychologically problematic.
In fact, if we go back from this stage, knowing what they've done to us,
yes,
because don't forget that
the devil has revealed itself already.
They've revealed themselves, and there's a trend. Mm-hmm. If you notice, after '92, when SDF did what they did, I think there was intensification of totally just taking over the land and send people to come and work in our territory. And I always like to use Ayaba because that's a classic example where they pay, the place is packed with francophones in the heart of Bamenda. If they can do that in Bamenda, then know that the other places have just been. I hear Victoria is it's a francophone town now. But what I'm trying to say is they even pay them higher just to move them to our territory. So that is part of the.
So they are paid as expatriates.
Absolutely, So they paid higher to come into our because they want to populate our land, with these foreigners. And somehow, I don't think they can adulterate our population, but just somehow neutralize its effect.
It's a systematic thing,
and that part of that is called genocide.
It is
in international law.
So I mean, I don't want people to be so self-centered. When you ask what's going to happen in September, I want every parent to ask themselves, if it was your daughter that was beaten the way those girls were beaten in Boya, and their buttocks ripped open with wounds, how do you think that girl is going to fare when she goes to sit back in class in that same environment, in that kind of environment that we have currently? Do you think that child is going to study successfully? And if the answer to that question is no, I believe you have answered correctly, and you shouldn't be sending your children to go to school in that kind of an environment. So we have to believe in as a community. We cannot look at this thing as, oh, it's I. No, we are a community. If one part of our community is suffering, we have to stand up for them. So looking at those children, look at those who have been abused, who have been raped, who have been molested, who have experienced all what those children experienced in December, and ask yourself, have those children healed to be able to go back to the classroom before you make that decision?
And that is very good. So I thought this was a very tough question, but you answered it. I'm going to give you, I'll make it even tougher, okay? I think it will be easy for parents to take the advice you've given if they know that this would amount to for a cure for some of the things we've talked about. Is there a guarantee that it will?
Well, I think...
or is there a good chance, not a guarantee, is there a good chance that it will?
The scars that we don't see are more the psychological and the mental scars. The physical ones can heal quickly because there's medicine for it. The psychological ones take a long time, and for some people they never heal. That's why people get they break down, or they get susceptible to certain actions. What these students have gone through by the actions by La République on them is serious trauma. And parents should really, really consider that. As Roger said, just from the physical part, there is something that reaches a turning point. After the SDF incident, where people were shot and killed in Bamenda, these people were shot in these recent demonstrations. I realized, okay, the police can shoot somebody. But the image of that student who was robbed in sewage, and that lady who was beaten and her buttocks torn like that was a turning point for me. I realized, even though losing someone's life is bigger, but beating somebody to that point was a turning point for me, and I realized, no, we have to stand for something. So the parents have to look at those incidents and those situations, and then think about the psychological thing that the La République has done to the kids. We might not be seeing it now.
No, but I understand that though. My question is, because it will be easy for parents to make that decision. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, okay, what effect is staying out in school have towards the struggle? Is there an effect that we know that? I know just the resistance alone, it's already making a big statement. But we know who we're resisting. We're resisting the French, who said giving up Africa it will be devastating for France. So
all Afrique n'a pas d'histoire, that Africa has no history.
That's undermining Africa. But I'm just saying, just for the utility of it, right? These are people who the loot in Africa keep them a power.
Afloat, yes.
A power, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So my question is, with keeping away your children from school, because I'm trying to. It's a tough one.
I'm getting your question.
It's a tough one because if parents know that if I keep this child out of school for 3 years, these devils will go away, and we'll reconstruct our land. The government will come in, a new government will come in, reconstruct our life, and what's 3 years for the eternity of Southern Cameroon? There's something else I want to say before you come back to this, okay? you know, there's a thing called human rights. Because for some people who are members of CPDM and they think that life is chop a chop, right? La Republique gives you money that you build your house, feed your children, and drink your beer, and then prostitute around like most do. There's something higher in life than that. And I think we need to start spelling out some of the essence of this struggle. Because when you talk about human life and human rights, it means being able to dream for yourself, it means being able to experiment, make your mistakes, discover life, invent things, and that's because humans are creative animals. And when we have another country controlling us, they prevent that from happening, and that's what makes us not human anymore. I'm trying to, because this thought have been coming to me, I'm like, okay, if we were in La Republique and they give us all the money we want, but prevent us from opening a business because they authorize the business that you run. In fact, there was a time that when you make music in Cameroon, if you don't go and record it in France, you don't get a recording because the French don't want you to record in your own country, right? Toyota, which is Toyota, it's a French company that they treat us like a franchise. So all the profits and all of that come to a French company. So they are totally if you want to build a plane now or build some incredible machine, they're not going to let you.
They won't let you.
Because they want to sell you their crap. They want to keep all of us as a market. So I think that some of these things we need to start really putting an essence to what we're really fighting.
I don't know if this is still the case, but you know, in the then Yaoundé University, which was the only university, any research that you wrote, a copy had to be in France.
Yes, because they want to see the new idea and then they co-opt it, right?
Yes, or see the radical thinkers.
So I'm still coming back to that question. So basically, what we're really fighting for is for our humanity. Okay? The birds can build their house, the birds can go around and find their food, right? And they already have their clothes, which is their feathers. The animals in the bush can do the same thing. But for us humans, we can do better. We can create cars, we can create airplanes, we can dream. Whether we accomplish or not, we can dream and spend our energy pursuing those dreams. We are denied that when we are colonial people.
Yeah, the power of imagination.
And that is what we are fighting. So the question comes back again. And this is where we're going to end this conversation. When these parents don't send their children to school next year, are they really accomplishing anything?
Well, I think back to that question again. This question should not be looked in isolation, because the boycott or the non-attendance of school is coterminous to a political activity, and a political activity that is intricate in itself with deeper realities. So we shouldn't look at schools just in isolation. Yes, they are related also to a potential political action. That is why by speaking in the parliament, that is part of the action, it's political. And the Southern Cameroon or Ambazonia groups that are working too. And so we shouldn't look at it only from the school. And within the political aspect of it is a layered implication, because if that territory is not free, it looks like things might not be done in there.
Thank you. Anything to add to that? Because that was absolutely a solid answer.
Yeah, no, he has nailed it. And you should ask, if you don't believe that what we are fighting to build is the best, you should ask yourself, why was this started in the first place, right? Why did you get involved? You got involved because your children were telling you that you had teachers coming into class who could not even speak English, but you were trying to teach them in English, and you said, that is not what I'm sending my children to go to school and learn. So you made this decision to partake in this action because you wanted to change what was happening in your children's lives. The question that I will ask you if you want to send your children back in September is, have you achieved that? If the answer is no, and then you're sending your children back, what you're telling those children is that they can start things and leave them halfway without completing it. I don't think that's the example you want to teach your children.
I really want to thank the two of you, because I learned just listening. And you are so right in the answer. When I was asking you that question, I didn't have the answer either. But I do have the answer now. Because what the parents are doing, it's like killing the elephant with 1,000 cuts. So what they are doing is part of their own resistance, their other resistance going on somewhere else. And so all of this would have to give results.
Yes.
And part of the proof of that is what La Republique is doing to blackmail. You see the lady you were complaining about that was violating even her own conscience, trying to support. It is the government of La Republique pretending that things are normal, because they are expected as a government to make things normal for the population. Even if they are a captive population, they are responsible for the health, for a lot of other things for that population. And so what they're doing, they are pretending.
Yes.
And they can only pretend for so long.
And it is not only the government of the Republic. I think there is this group that is called Econ, which is supposed to be some elites from COM who are advising teachers and everybody to send their children back to school in September. So people, they claim to be leaders. And we want to ask, what is leadership? Leadership entails integrity. It entails some ethical values. It entails honesty. And from everything I have read, that this particular COM elite group wrote to the indigents of COM, they are lying to the people. They are not being honest to themselves and to the people. And for that reason, I will tell the people that those are the people that are helping the government of the Republic achieve its goals of enslaving, of burying all the dreams of the children that we are trying to raise for the future of the Southern Cameroons of tomorrow. So the people should not be listening to such groups, because they have ulterior motives for coming up with things like that.
Thank you.
Thanks, George. One of the things I wanted to say to you is our parents should sit and look at the government that they're answering to. As you rightly said about human rights, we are right holders. The government is the duty bearer.
Yes.
The government bears the duty to protect, defend, and promote each and every citizen of its country. This crisis started last November, October into November, right up to now. It's getting to 8 months. What one step has the government in Yaoundé taken in the right direction to solve this problem? Zero. That is how you assess competent people. So this is not a country or a regime that somebody with the right conscience, who understands the process of integrity, who understands what vision is. Vision is very, very important in our growth and development. And this government cannot set a vision for young people, a realistic vision, and how they can arrive at that. And for that reason, I don't think that any parent should be educating their child or sending their child under a school run by that kind of government.
And with that, we'll conclude this particular one. I really am so blessed to have the two of you together. My goal is that we continue to do this, because our people really do need these conversations taking place, so that, I hope that we are enlightening a little bit and provoking thought, because the one thing that we have is our minds, and we can dream it, we can create it.
Yeah, we learn from each other.
And we have dreamed freedom now, and let's keep talking about freedom, because we are going to be free, and that's the only option we have.
Indeed.
Thank you.